Greetings, my internet friends. Welcome to Plumbing with Ben, the show where I plumb. What we're going to be doing today is running a new gas line to the dryer. What we're replacing is what we had before, which was this very long length of flexible gas line that was running all the way from this T. It was making this serpentine route up through the floor joists and back down here to the back of the dryer. So we're just going to be replacing that with some black pipe going from here straight out there and then down there and then over, and then we'll just have a 2-foot length of flex line going into the back of the dryer. That should be a lot safer because this stuff is a lot more susceptible to damage than the iron pipe, and we don't want to have such a long length of flexible pipe being exposed where it could potentially get damaged. So I've already removed the flex line here, and you can see that there's a little converter. It's going from the 1-inch T down to 1/2 inch, and I've got my gas shut off at the main shut off. So I'm going to start putting in the black pipe. So right here I've got a 3-foot by 1/2 inch black pipe nipple. This is, it's flare threaded at the end, so that's gonna screw right in to this end of the T, and we're using pipe dope, so we're going to dope it up before we screw it in. So I'm just putting a generous amount of pipe dope around the threads, and if there's a whole lot of excess, I can remove it after screwing it in. So there's some excess there, and a little bit of excess is fine, but I'm just going to take a rag and kind of wipe away some of the excess, but I'm still leaving some around that pipe joint. There's kind of a ring of dope all the way around the joint. And next thing is at the end of this 3-foot nipple, I'm going to put the 90-degree elbow on this end and send it down towards the floor. So just like the last joint, I'm going to apply pipe dope to the male threads all the way around. I don't apply any dope to the female threads on the elbow, just on the outside ones, because we don't want any dope to get inside the pipe run. Next I'm going to connect this 5-foot nipple going all the way down close to the floor. Same way that I connected this one. So now I've connected the 5-foot nipple going down towards the floor. And one thing to note is one thing that I sometimes like to do is when I'm putting on an elbow or another joint, sometimes I will try to leave, or even at this beginning connection, I'll try to leave just a smallest amount of, just a little bit of room left that it could be tightened a little bit more. Like not tighten it all the way till it's, its total stopping point, but like just there's a slight bit of play that, for instance, when I'm putting on this elbow now, if the elbow gets to gets too hard to turn before it's facing in the right direction, in this case down, then there'll still be a little bit of play left in here that I can tighten this one more, and then I can bring this one down to the correct angle so that this pipe is going straight down. And obviously it's easier to angle this down after you get this pipe on, because you've got this whole pipe you can just use as leverage and pull on that. Also, right now I'm gonna put a pipe hanger right here to hold this up. I have this very old pipe hanger that I must have pulled off of somewhere else down here in the basement, and it's a little bent up, so I'm just going to use these pliers to try and make it usable again. This thing's it's surprisingly strong. So hopefully I can hammer this into the joist. Should have worn safety glasses when hammering up here like that, because all kinds of dust starts falling down. Alright, we've got this pipe hanger up here, and we've got the 5-foot length going close to the ground, and what we're going to connect next is this T, this 1/2-inch T at the bottom of this nipple. So it's going to go to the right. To the right, I'm going to put another 1.5-foot length of pipe that's going to the dryer hookup, and then at the bottom we're going to put a drip leg. So that's a 4-inch nipple with an end cap on it, and in theory that's there to catch any condensation that would accumulate inside the run of gas pipe and drip down there, so that it would accumulate in the drip leg and not go into the dryer. I have heard that drip legs are really not necessary anymore because, I don't know, something about the gas supply, condensation is unlikely, but maybe there could be debris or something. But generally I've heard that they're not really necessary, but I think that they are still required by the code where I live, so I'm going to go ahead and put one in anyways. To make things a little bit easier on myself, I'm going to go ahead and assemble this drip leg before I attach it to the pipe, but I'm not going to tighten it down all the way, because tightening it down all the way is easier once you've already got it connected to the pipe. But I'm just going to fit it together while I'm standing up here instead of crouched in that tiny space. I take a rag and just kind of clean up the end of that nipple just to prevent any dope from getting on the inside of it. So I'm just making it hand tight for now. I'm using a 4-inch nipple. I've heard lots of different things about the length of these drip legs, and from what I can tell, it doesn't really matter that much, maybe at least 3 inches. Alright, so I've got the drip leg connected to the end of the pipe. just put it on there hand tight for now. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start tightening this down from the end cap upward, because when I start tightening it from the end cap, it's gonna also be tightening all of these at the same time. And so that way, once I get up to tightening this T, it's going to make it a little easier for me to make sure it's pointing towards the right here in the right direction, because I know that this cap and this nipple are already going to be tightened well into it before I have to tighten them again, because if I'm tightening them again, then I'll have to worry about this one moving out of the right direction. That's just how I do it. Alright, so now I've got the drip leg attached, and I've tightened it all down with the wrenches starting from the end cap going up, and tightened to the end cap, then the nipple, then the T. And I've got it facing in the right direction. Next, I'm going to attach this 1.5 foot nipple into the T. And just for convenience, I've already just kind of hand tight screwed the gas cock on the end of there, and that's going to be the shut-off valve. Alright, so I've got the this is my last length of black pipe going over here towards the dryer. And I got the gas cock, the shut-off valve that is, tightened on there. And you might be wondering, why would I put the shut-off valve in such an inaccessible spot? Well, the idea is that this shut-off valve is not really for an emergency, it's only for servicing the appliance. So if there were an emergency situation, I wouldn't run to this shut-off valve. I would actually run to the main gas shut-off and just shut that off, and then I could shut that one off subsequently if necessary. And the idea of it being back here behind the dryer is that there it's much more protected from damage, say if some object falls on it or something like that. It's unlikely for something to fall on it back here behind the dryer, rather than out in the open or somewhere that would be more accessible. And the next step is to attach this flexible gas line that's going to connect from that to the back of the dryer. And I'll just be attaching the flexible line the same way that I connected the black pipe. Just dope up the threads and screw it together. Okay, so here's something interesting that I encountered. But I've got the flexible gas line, aka the appliance connector, attached here to the shut-off valve, and then the next step is to attach that to the back of the dryer, and this is where the gas inlet is. And this previously had this adapter on it, and I took this adapter off because I'm gonna need to probably go back to the store to find the proper connector between this size and the flex line. But the thing to notice here is that when I took this adapter off, I found that there's all of this dope on the inside of this gas inlet, and there's just like a small opening that the gas was flowing through. So this is kind of the problem that you're trying to avoid by not putting dope on the female parts of your connections, but only putting it on the outer threads, that is the male threads, because that way it's not gonna get squeezed out into the pipe like that. The dryer seemed to be working fine apparently this wasn't causing any major problem, but you know, I'll clean that up, and the gas flow is going to be, the gas is going to be able to flow a lot easier through there now. So I had to make another trip to the hardware store in order to get a 1/2-inch coupling, and unfortunately they were out of 1/2-inch couplings, and all they had was this merchant coupling, which has the round sides instead of the flat sides, which is sub-ideal, but it should work fine. And then there's this 3/8 inch to 1/2-inch bushing here, which is what connects to the dryer gas inlet, which I think this is 3/8, and then it connects to the flexible gas line. So it's not the most elegant connection, but it should work. And I've just fitted them together, and now I'm going to take it apart and dope it up and tighten it together. Alright, everything is connected now and tightened down. So the thing I'm going to do now is just take my gloved finger and go around these joints and simply kind of rub any excess pipe dope. But I'm not taking it all off. I'm in fact kind of leaving a bead right in the joint there. This probably isn't really necessary, but I think it makes it look a little cleaner. Okay, now that everything is connected, we can go ahead and turn the gas back on. Alright, so now that everything is connected, I'm going to do this very important step, which is I've got this very soapy water. It's almost 1-to-1 soap to water, maybe a little bit less soap. And I'm just going to spray this all over every single joint and see if any bubbles start forming, which would indicate that the joint is leaking. Alright, so I've squirted soap onto every single joint, and I didn't see any bubbles forming, so I think that this is done. All that's left to do is I'll reattach that dryer vent and scoot the dryer back in place, and that's it. One thing I might have done in retrospect differently, I could have put a 90-degree elbow there instead of that merchant joint, pointing it upwards, and that way that the flexible gas line would be entering downwards instead of outward, just in the event that, say, the dryer got pushed up against the wall hard or something, then it would just be running into that 90-degree elbow rather than putting stress on the flexible pipe. But it shouldn't really be a problem anyways. Alright, that's it for Plumbing with Ben. Be sure to like and subscribe. See you next time.